In the quiet glow of a marble kitchen at dawn, where silver light kisses copper pans, he stands calm, sleeves gently folded, a prince whose hands speak the language of fire. Not only a rider of desert winds, not only a poet of mountain silence, but a keeper of ancient flavors and modern dreams. Sheikh Hamdan Fazza, master of the flame. The kitchen listens when he enters. Spices wake from their glass prisons. Olive oil sighs like a remembered sea, and knives rest knowing purpose has arrived. He does not rush the onion's tears. He respects the patience of slow heat, for he knows food, like love and land, reveals itself only to the gentle. A pinch of saffron, gold as sunset, carried from old trade routes of the soul. He sprinkles history into the pot and stirs with the grace of inherited time. Recipes are not commands to him. They are poems written by grandmothers, by sailors, farmers, and desert mothers, passed through hands, not pages. The flame bows never fights him, because he listens before he cooks, because he knows when silence is seasoning, and waiting is the finest spice. Rice falls like soft desert rain, each grain knowing its place. Stock whispers stories of bones and herbs, of nights where hunger learned hope. He tastes, then closes his eyes, not for approval but for memory, for food must answer the heart before it ever reaches the tongue. There is discipline in his chopping, yet mercy in his timing, for mastery is not control alone, but respect for what lives in the pot. Bread rises as if blessed, yeast breathing life into patience. Ovens hum like loyal companions, and time itself slows to watch. He cooks not to impress, but to connect, to place warmth on a plate and call it welcome. From palace kitchens to open fires, from royal halls to desert camps, the same hands serve the same humility, because hunger does not recognize crowns. A meal prepared by him carries balance, tradition walking beside innovation, old Emirati soul wrapped in modern craft, a bridge between generations. Spices from the souk salute him, cardamom, cumin, dried lime and clove, each one aware it will be honored, never wasted, never rushed. He knows that cooking is leadership, to nourish before you command, to serve before you are served, to give comfort without asking names. Steam rises like prayer, plates wait like open hands, and somewhere a guest smiles before the first bite is taken. This is Sheikh Hamdan Fazza at the stove, a prince of patience and precision, where love becomes edible and fire learns gentleness. The kitchen breathes deeper as the day unfolds, morning giving way to amber afternoon, sunlight sliding across stone and steel, as if blessing the labor of intention. He washes his hands not just of dust, but of haste, of noise, of the outside world, for food absorbs the mood of its maker, and peace must season every dish. A pot simmers with stories of the Gulf, fish once pulled from patient waters, salt carried by wind from ancient shores, lemon bright as a child's first laugh. He remembers the elders without speaking, men whose hands smelled of sea and rope, women whose kitchens were schools of life, where hunger was answered with dignity. He cuts herbs finely, never crushing them, letting green perfume rise naturally, mint, coriander, parsley like fresh verses, written by the earth itself. In his world, cooking is not display, no loud fire, no careless excess, only harmony between heat and heart, between what is taken and what is given. A lamb rests patiently, marinated in time, garlic softened by yogurt and trust, spices working slowly into muscle and memory, preparing for transformation, not domination. He turns the meat with quiet authority, listening to the sizzle like conversation, knowing when to intervene, knowing when to step back, because mastery is not constant action, but the wisdom of restraint, the courage to wait, the confidence to let things become. Rice absorbs broth like desert, sand absorbs rain, nothing wasted, everything purposeful, each grain swelling with gratitude, each aroma calling unseen guests closer. He plates with simplicity, not extravagance. For beauty must never intimidate hunger. A meal should invite, not challenge. Comfort before applause. The first taste is never rushed. A pause held like a breath before poetry. Eyes closing briefly, to ask the heart, not the ego. If something lacks balance, he corrects it softly. No frustración, no blame. For even mistakes are teachers, and kitchens are classrooms of humility. He cooks for family with the same care as for dignitaries and friends, because love does not measure status, and nourishment knows no hierarchy. Coffee is brewed with reverence, beans roasted to warm conversation, cardamom cracking open like laughter, cups passed as symbols of welcome. The table becomes a gathering of souls, stories passing between bites, silence respected, laughter allowed, food stitching hearts together. He watches guests eat more than he eats, finding joy in their satisfaction. For a true cooking expert feeds others first, and lets gratitude be his reward. Night approaches, flames grow gentler, dishes slow into comfort and calm. The kitchen no longer busy, but fulfilled. Pots are cleaned with the same care, as if thanking them for service. Knives wiped and rested, tools treated as partners, not servants. The air holds a final echo of spice, a memory that will linger till morning. And hunger, once loud, now sleeps peacefully, wrapped in warmth. This is Fazza beyond the fire, a guardian of taste and tradition, a prince who understands that cooking is love made visible. When night spreads its velvet across the dunes, he returns to the roots of fire and earth, where cooking began before walls existed, under stars older than any crown. A desert fire crackles patiently, wood chosen with understanding. Not every flame is fit for flavor. Not every heat carries kindness. He squats beside the fire like an ancestor, hands warmed, eyes reflecting embers, listening to the desert silence that teaches more than words ever could. The kettle rests in the sand, buried gently, not forced, coffee brewing with time and trust, each bubble a quiet heartbeat. Here there are no timers, only instinct and observation, the color of flame, the scent of smoke changing tone. Meat cooked slowly, wrapped in tradition, protected from harsh fire by wisdom, turning hours into tenderness, turning patience into reward. The desert approves of those who wait, who do not demand but request, and the food answers accordingly, soft, honest, complete. He cooks with minimal tools here, because excess has no place in simplicity. A knife, a pot, a fire, and knowledge carried in the blood. Salt is added carefully, as if remembering scarcity, as if honoring times when little meant survival, and waste meant regret. The meal is shared directly from the pot. No separación, no ceremony. Only hands, trust, and hunger, only equality around the fire. Stories rise with the smoke, of journeys of endurance, of fathers teaching sons to wait, of mothers teaching daughters to give. Later, far from the desert, in modern kitchens with global influence, he adapts without losing identity, fusion guided by respect, not trend. Italian herbs meet Emirati soul, Asian balance joins Gulf generosity, butter learns restraint, spice learns precision. He understands that global cooking is not imitation but conversation, a dialogue between cultures where listening matters more than speaking. Pasta carries whispers of cardamom, seafood learns the warmth of cumin, desserts bow gently to dates and honey, sweetness grounded in tradition. Yet no matter how far flavors travel, they always return home, to rice steamed with care, to bread torn by hand. He knows that modernity should enhance, not erase, that innovation without roots is flavor without soul. In his kitchen, old recipes are protected, not locked away but lived, cooked again and again, so memory does not fade. Children watch quietly from corners, learning without formal lessons, absorbing respect, rhythm, and restraint. the true curriculum of cooking. He corrects gently when they rush, smiles when they fail, because mastery is inherited through patience, not pressure. When a dish succeeds, he gives credit to the process, to the ingredients, never only to himself. For ego ruins flavor faster than salt, and pride burns quicker than fire. A true expert stays invisible, letting the food speak first. As night deepens, stars mirror the embers, and the final meal of the day feels like a quiet prayer. This is Sheikh Hamdan Fazza, cooking across worlds and centuries, a bridge between past and future, a flame that feeds without consuming before the sun lifts the city awake. He thinks of those whose mornings begin with hunger, not as an idea, but as a responsibility. For food, in his understanding, is not luxury, it is dignity placed on a plate, and dignity must be shared. He believes a leader must know the weight of a pot, the heat of a stove, the effort behind a single meal, before speaking of abundance. In large kitchens where charity breathes, he moves without cameras or ceremony, hands busy, heart quiet or still, letting action speak where words fall short. Rice is cooked in quantities of mercy, lentils softened with compassion, bread baked with the intention to last, to reach hands that tremble with need. He tastes every batch carefully, because food for the poor must never be careless. Charity does not excuse neglect. It demands greater respect. He teaches that giving leftovers is easy, but giving the best is leadership, that hunger deserves honor, not apology. Volunteers watch and learn, not from lectures, but from how he listens, how he corrects gently, how he thanks sincerely. In his presence, service feels noble, not heavy, not forced, a shared duty rather than a burden, a privilege disguised as work. He knows that a warm meal can quiet anger, can soften despair, can restore faith without preaching. Food reaches where speeches cannot, enters homes without knocking, sits beside people in their hardest hours, and says, "You are not forgotten." In refugee kitchens, in disaster tents, in temporary shelters under uncertain skies, the same principles apply: clean hands, honest ingredients, patient hearts. He insists on balance even here, enough salt to heal, not harm, enough spice to bring joy, not overwhelm, enough warmth to remind people they are human. Cooking becomes a form of justice, a quiet correction of imbalance, a way of redistributing care, one plate at a time. He reminds those around him that power is proven not by excess, but by how gently it is used, and who it reaches last. At long tables, strangers become neighbors, sharing bread before sharing stories, eyes meeting where walls once stood, trust built through simple nourishment. Children smile first, because children recognize sincerity, their laughter seasoning the air, more valuable than any spice. He watches them eat, and knows that leadership, like cooking, is successful only when others are satisfied. In quiet moments after service, when pots are empty and floors are swept, he reflects not on numbers fed, but on hearts eased. He understands that hunger will return tomorrow, but so will effort, so will fire, so will willingness, because a true cooking expert does not cook once and rest. He commits to the daily discipline of showing up. This is Sheikh Hamdan Fazza in service, a prince who feeds before he rules, who understands that the strongest legacy is one that nourishes life. When the world finally quiets its demands, when halls empty and voices fade, he returns alone to the kitchen, not out of duty but need. Late-night cooking is different. No audience, no expectation, only a man, a flame, and thoughts that ask to be stirred. He chooses simple ingredients then, eggs, bread, a handful of herbs, food that does not perform, food that understands solitude. Oil warms slowly in the pan, reflecting a soft, wavering light, like memory revisiting old moments, not to wound but to remind. He cracks eggs with practiced calm, listening to the quiet sizzle, a sound that does not judge, only accompanies. In these hours, cooking becomes meditation, each movement slowing the mind, each aroma grounding the heart, silence turning into peace. He thinks of roads traveled, of deserts crossed at dawn, of mountains climbed in stillness, and kitchens left warm behind him. Food absorbs reflection, carries questions without answers, and returns comfort without advice, a loyal companion in thought. He seasons lightly, because excess has no place here, just enough salt to stay present, just enough warmth to feel alive. Bread toasts gently, its scent filling empty spaces, making even loneliness feel temporary, like night before morning. He eats slowly, not out of hunger alone, but out of respect for the moment, for the quiet gift of being. There is no rush to finish, no plate to impress, only nourishment meant for one, and that is enough. In these hours, he forgives himself for imperfections, for dishes that failed, for days that asked too much. Cooking teaches him that not everything must be shared to be meaningful. Some meals exist only to restore, to prepare the heart for tomorrow. Afterward, he cleans gently, as if not to disturb the peace, leaving the kitchen ready for whatever dawn may bring. He steps outside briefly, breathing night air cool and honest, stars above mirroring embers within, both steady, both patient. He knows leadership is heavy, expectation louder than fire, but moments like these refill what the world consumes. Food, he understands, is not always celebration. Sometimes it is shelter, sometimes it is listening. And in this quiet communion, the cooking expert renews himself, not as a prince, but as a human being.